Welcome to AHL Podcast Week 1. I am Parenko55, joined by, we got No Sleeves, Barakov, Prince of Zeus, and Six from the Rockford Icehawks will be joining us. I'll be doing an interview with him later. Also, we will be breaking down each division in the AHL. Also, we will be talking about trades. Couple of ones going around, couple of TC moves, nothing huge. Besides Barakov being shipped out of Belleville, but we'll get to that when we talk about trades. Right now, I'm going to toss it over to No Sleeves with his Guns Out power rankings for Week 1.
All right, boys. So let's discuss how the power rankings shook out for Week 1. Obviously, the Barracuda are in first at 8-1. They seem to be the early team to beat. Good thing that they're in the West. And followed second was Rockford. They also went 8-1. Then a few decent ones. Springfield went third with 7-1-1. Then we have some more Eastern guys. Belleville at 6-2-1. Rochester fifth at 6-2-1. Manitoba 6-3. The Marlies. I know a lot of guys that think that was pretty surprising that they went 6-3 last week. So that was good to see. They're seventh. Followed again then by Hartford, also 6-3. Lehigh Valley 6-3. Stockton is at 10 at 7-2. That is going to be a very good division. I think throughout the whole year, probably the best one to watch as far as stack teams and whatnot. We've got Tucson at 11 at 5-2-2. Chicago Wolves at 5-3-1. Milwaukee, I know a couple guys from there at 5-4. Binghamton, I actually, before the season started, thought Binghamton would be a pretty decent team, and for the most part, they finished 500 this week at 14th with 4-4-1. San Antonio, they come in at 15 on the power rankings, finished 3-5-1, also playing a very, very difficult division. 16th was Charlotte at 5-5. Next up at 17 was the Cleveland Monsters, a little bit weaker division, 6-3, finished 17th on the power rankings. 18th was the Grand Rapids Griffins at 3-5-1. 19th was Utica, go Utica at 4-4-1. Again, a lot of the Eastern ones that had a little bit better rankings. Again, I think we're going to get into that later on in the show, but the West does seem to have the tougher matchups so far. 20th, right behind Utica, was Bridgeport at 4-5. Then another Pacific team, Ontario, at 3-4-2. Finishing out is 22 was Wilkes-Barre Scranton at 3-4-2. The Texas Stars went 3-3-3. Hershey 3-6. Providence at 25 went 4-5. And then Syracuse 26th at 2-6-1. Followed by Iowa, 2-6-1 as well. And the bottom four we have at 28th, the Colorado Eagles at 3-6. 29th is Bakersfield at 3-5-1. 30, finishing 2-7, was the Laval Rocket, and bringing out the bottom was the Gulls at 2-7. Also, they are going to have again another tough season due to the division they play in. But that is the power rankings for Week 1, guys. So again, I think it's pretty as far as the power rankings go. No surprises at the top, really, in my opinion. What about you guys? Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Oh, here we go.
You're good.
Pareko. Oh, there you go.
No, I was just going to say, I think hopefully you're dead on here. We had a good start to the season. I know there's a lot of other teams that were, pretty tough to start off the season, right? There's a lot of good records across the league. So.
No, right. And one thing is, you're getting a look at your teams for the first start. You're not getting you're seeing what lines work, what don't. I mean, you had some preseason games, but for the most part, you're basically the NHL guys are taking a look at who they want to call up to their roster and make theirs finalized before, you get to see what's left to put your team together with. Also, they're taking a look at the draft picks that they drafted previously to see if they can make the NHL roster or if they need to go down to the AHL. So it's interesting. I see a lot of guys making some moves. Some of them are sticking it out. But what do you have for power rankings when it comes to who got Player of the Week?
Player of the Week. Let's pull up Player of the Week. So I know I played with one of them. That would appear. Give me 1 second here. My site just closed. Where are my power rankings at? So again, at forward, it's a ton of Barracuda. I played with Patriot of Canada this weekend. They are insanely creative, and that is a very, very deep lineup. As far as also in the top 10 for forward was Cash Cormier with the Ice Hog, or with the Ice Hogs and Turbo. Let's see any non-Barracuda, because pretty much the whole forward. We've got let's see, we got Krejci for the Heat at 20. He went at 10 points and a +5 and 3-0. War Tordian at 3-0 with 11 points and a +6. He came in at 12. Let's see here. We got NHL Twister, 3-0, 13 points and a +7. He had a really good week. On defense, Melanson went 3 for the Moose, went 3-0 with 6 points and a +13. That was really good. Jay Willie from the Americans, +14. That's a big plus-minus for 1 week at 3-0. Again, a few, I think 4 Barracuda. Let's see what we got. We got Ojibwe Skills, Nardo, Loki, and Mr. Ziggle Nuts. They all went 3-0 for the Barracuda. And we've got Preep also went 3-0 for the Checkers with 3 points and a +6. Not a lot of points I see as far as, I mean, the AHL is definitely a tougher league. So you're going to see, less points from the back end. There isn't really someone that's broken out with, 10 points or anything like that from the back end yet. So it'll be interesting to see if there's anyone like that in the AHL this season. Goalies, Mr. Penguin went 6-0 for the Phantoms. Very, very good start to the season. 1.65 goals against and an 85% save percentage. KQ31 3-0, 1.22 for the Roadrunners. Ice Hogs at Primetime Fresh went 6-0 as well, 2.83 goals against. Then we've got 3 Barracuda goalies. When again they all went 3-0 and whatnot. Quick Scope went 3-1 with a 1.5 goals against, and that would be the what's hot for the players as far as power rankings go.
Well, to comment on the Jay Willie, there was the 12-2
That'll do it.
slaughter of the Hershey Bears.
Yep.
J.K. Hank had 11 points in that game. So that kind of ups your stats. That's definitely a stats game.
No, for sure.
So that would be a high plus-minus day. So a lot of Barracuda on there. They do have a very good team.
For sure.
With a lot of depth. I mean, you take a look at their roster, and it's just straight red.
Yep.
I think they have like one guy that's pro. All the rest are elite. So they're putting up huge numbers. 6 would know about it. They got beat 8-1.
Yeah,
against them.
That was the biggest loss we took, right? The only loss we took, and it was a rough one, right? It's funny. I got a message right after it just saying, "Hey, that game was closer than the score showed because there were those EA goals in there." But we just got to be better, right? It's a good team. They like somebody said earlier. I think No Sleeve said they're creative with the puck, right? I mean, they're good. They do different things. And
Patriot, yeah, I just played with Patriot the first time, and he's really good
yeah,
offensively with it.
yeah, they were
And I think
very
he's on
good.
their second line.
Yeah, which is scary in itself, right? So
Yep.
especially being as close as we are to them.
Yeah, because I mean, if you think about it, that top line from season, what was it, 4? Calder champions. You got
Yep.
what are their names again? I always forget them. User Pick and Pasta. Those two guys. Yeah, they've been teammates for the last 3 seasons. Of course, they're going to knock any other team straight out of contention for a first round or first line spot, really.
Right.
And I mean,
Right.
I think Ducks fan plays with them. That's what I would put with those two. Just because, like, any
chemistry.
any left wing with those two will succeed. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, I get to go up against those guys tonight.
That's the thing.
Americans versus Canada.
Week 2, that whole division gets to play the East now. So you're going to see a lot of separation in Week 2, I think, as far as like overall points from the East and West this season. I think that when the West, specifically that division itself, is going to take advantage of some of the weaker Eastern teams.
Well, we're playing. I know this week we're playing the Eastern Atlantic, right? So there are definitely, definitely some hitters in there too. You can't take any of them lightly, really, either.
No, for sure. I
know there's a lot of, a couple moves made, not some huge ones, but there's some tough teams in there still.
Yeah, not to say that everyone's going to go 8-0 or anything like that, but as far as like the matchups go, like they're, if Vegas had a betting line, is what I mean.
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, Springfield, Lehigh, and Hartford. All tough teams. Look down their rosters, really good players, and we'll see what happens.
So, I'm actually gonna go a little bit off topic here.
Already.
And see, yeah, already. I saw a couple of posts about it. I've seen it in the managers chat. What is your guys' take on guys getting 10 games a week and 9 games a week and the new schedule?
I hate the new schedule. I hate no games on Thursdays and having to play 3 on one night.
I actually love it. It just means one less night that I have to.
That's true. Yeah, that's true. Like,
yeah, because I mean, Thursday was one game. First of all, like, I work Thursdays. I ain't trying to play on Thursdays. Since I work nights. So it gives me one night where I don't have to even think about it. Whereas, like, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, those are the days that I usually play the most.
Oh, yeah, well, that's the case. Yeah.
Well, yeah.
So, I mean, the 10 games a week variable is nice because then if you look in standings, for instance, right, we have one team that's played 10, that's Charlotte, but they're the only one right now. Come next week, everyone's going to play like 10 games.
What would you think if they did 3 on Sunday as well?
I'd love that.
Same. Like, I don't know why they don't do 3 on Sunday, like what the reasoning before it would be, because I feel like 95% of the player base would be able to do Sundays over.
I think it's because of the ESHL league. A lot of players play on Sundays. Just because it's a weekend, they can dedicate the time and not have to worry about like any kind of conflicting schedule.
No, for sure. I'm having a really hard time with the non-staggered starts, like AHL. If you play AHL on one and NHL on another, I know I'm probably a rare case because most that are in the NHL on one are in the NHL on the other. But for whatever reason, like because they start at 45, there's no way to play like 6 in a night, I guess, would be what you would try to do because they start at 45, which I don't understand why they do that. I don't know what the reasoning is. Because if they started at 30, you could at least play another game. But there's no way to play an 8:45 game and then play in the NHL at 9, even if you got that 15-minute buffer. You would have to leave, more than likely leave your the other game. But again, that's like not very common, I don't think.
I'm pretty sure they did that because the CHL starts at the 30 mark, which in a sense is supposed to be better for the AHL teams. But even then, like a 15 minutes, that means the game has to start on time. There can't be any blagouts.
And the other game goes 15.
The game slows down when that happens.
Yep.
Like all of that is just impossible to have happen, really. So I mean,
and to stay it on that, you got the 10:45 games. How many games actually start on time?
Oh yeah, I started at 11 the other night.
Even in the NHL, they don't start on time. Like it's absolutely nuts.
So So say somebody has to find an ECU. You're getting close to 11 o'clock. Then say you have 2 lag outs. You're almost playing until midnight on the East Coast.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, it seems if I would actually rather have AHL overlap CHL. I understand it would probably, affect ECU wise,
Yeah.
but for the most part, you know who's not going to show up when you're going to need an ECU. And not to mention, most forwards only can play 3 games a week. So I'd actually rather have it earlier than later. I think midnight is getting too close to being
I think it's the slightest thing
ridiculous.
that allows West Coasters, though. That would be my
Yeah,
guess.
I understand.
I think that it allows because, like, if at least you give West Coasters a chance if you start at 10:45 for 3 games a week if they have it at 3 different days. You know what I mean? That's my
Right.
guess because, like, then at least they have a chance because a lot of people that work 9 to 5, there's just simply no way that you can play league. I would love to play my league games at 4 o'clock in the afternoon or 5
Me
o'clock.
too.
That would be fantastic.
I think we'd all be probably drunk by
You're not
9
wrong.
though.
Yeah, you're not wrong.
I don't see a problem with that.
Yeah.
There's no.
Yeah, I don't see a lose-lose situation here.
Yeah, I mean, I see where the league's going with it, and I think they're trying to do their best, but I think the 10:45 that just kind of pushes a little too late.
The
Just
thing
with-
is that, like, with what McDonald and them are trying to do, they're trying to standardize this league to the point where eventually, even LG itself, where we're just playing our 3 games a week, fellas, you got to realize one day we might be getting paid to play this game.
No, for sure.
For sure, like 100%. And these late starts are eventually going to be at the point where players and management or whatever are going to start getting fined. So, like right now, it's just like a slap on the wrist, get an ECU, we'll wait 10, 15 minutes. In possibly, like, not seasons, but 4 or 5 years, depending on how the game and the community grows, it won't be a 5-minute wait time. It'll be, okay, you forfeited the game at 1 minute late. Good luck.
Yep.
Yeah, no, I think you're exactly right with the with the stuff that we get sent out too about the standardization of the teams and the things like that. I think that's all that's all a media deal. That's all a moneymaker. So I think you're exactly right. I think it's going to push forward that way.
Well, good thing Sticks reminded me about that because I gotta change my abbreviation quick to that. But yeah, I mean, to the point, I agree with that. I think the rainbow colored jerseys were getting a little too ridiculous. I mean, to the point, I think the Phantoms were the only ones that don't have actually their team name as their club name this season. So, I mean, to the point to where you have to look it up instead of, okay, well, if I just put
LG.
Lehigh Phantoms, season 6 or whatever, each season, if you're not returning, put the season number. I think it'll be a lot smoother trying to find teams. Unless you do my famous trick where you just do +6 and you search everybody. But it kind of got ridiculous for a while there, with people just making up random clubs, and that was their LG clubs. So I can see where McDonald and Trist are trying to get it where it's basically what it's supposed to be, which is the NHL, AHL, and CHL simulation league is pretty much right. So having pineapple on the front of your jersey with rainbow colors. Last I knew, there's no team like that. So, I mean, I just see it helping us in the long run. I mean,
You
people are
didn't
going to
know about
complain.
the Bikini Bottom SquarePants team? Come on, bro.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
Dude.
They've been around for a while.
The Nashville Pineapples?
No. My favorite team is the Little Caesars team.
The Little Caesars.
Those guys, yeah, with the what is it? The neon orange
Oh,
and
yeah.
the light blue junior team.
I forgot about it.
Yeah, I mean those jerseys just amaze me. So, I mean, unless Little Caesars becomes an NHL team, I don't think we have a problem seeing those jerseys anytime soon. But yeah, I just wanted to see what your guys' take was on the schedule. I get where East Coasters are a little upset, but I see what
You're gonna
with
get
the West Coast also.
You're gonna get that with everyone. No, you're never gonna make a schedule that's perfect for the entire league.
Right.
There's like
So-
3,000 players, right?
Yeah, I mean, and I think it's a good schedule. I mean, I like playing later in the night anyway, so it works for me. I'm not worried about it.
As he drags his butt into work the next day.
You just got to own your own business. That helps.
Right. So, since we have 6 here, I want to do a little one-on-one interview with them. See where the Rockford Ice Hogs sit.
Boo!
As you know, we are done with week 1. 6, how do you feel contributed to the fast start of the season?
Yeah, it's interesting. I would say management a lot, right? We had between Death Machine, T-Janks, and then of course the owner. I know it's very, just the right thing to say. Yeah, but Deschi's been involved throughout the whole process, right? He was involved prior to me accepting the GM position, and then was involved in our drafts, I was involved in their draft, and he was really involved in bidding. And I think just getting the right people in the right places, right, is a huge, huge deal. And the team, it's a bunch of good guys, right? There's some people on my roster that have a bad rap, right, in the league for just different reasons. But for the most part, it's just making sure that everybody's happy and contributing where they want to contribute. So.
Absolutely. You say your roster, there's a few, how do I want it, rotten eggs, so to put. I'm not saying.
I wouldn't go that far. I wouldn't go.
A few toxic fucks is what you're actually looking for.
But I mean, and it's only. And here's
Oh
the
my
deal
God.
too. I watched some podcast last season about this, and I can't remember who it was. I think it was. I don't even remember. But I watched some podcast, and it was like, well, how do you keep those guys happy? Right? I think it's
Right.
I think it's just a matter of opinion and a matter of personality, right? Where somebody may be extremely cocky and maybe be very mouthy, and to some people like them and some people don't. I think it's all just sitting down in the party, talking, doing the thing, and making sure they're catered to a point, right? But at the same time, understand that they're just a cog in the wheel, right? They're just a piece of the puzzle.
Do you see any of your players breaking J Claus's franchise record of 146 points?
Yeah, different.
146?
Oh yeah, dude. Different.
146.
Different game, yeah. Totally different game. I don't see it happening necessarily. It's funny. I talked to Turbo, aka Street Smurf, right? I talked to him a little bit about it, and that was one of my pep talks for him early in the season. Was, hey, bud, take these down, right? I want to see you take these down. He looks at it and laughs. He's like, man, it's a different game, So it was a different game, right? I felt like it was maybe a little bit easier. Anyway, I don't know if it's gonna happen. If it does, it's gonna be Smurf.
So just so we're clear, J Claus's records are 146 points, 25 wins in 27 games, a plus minus of 90, and he had 83 goals that season.
Oh yeah.
So
It was a dark time
yeah,
when he was around here.
Wow.
Yeah.
so Who is your most underrated player in your opinion?
It's interesting. Once you sent that, PLD on. I think one of my D men, 500,000, cost me 500K for him. Really, really solid D man. The guy was, I think, unheard of as far as I'm concerned. Nobody really bid on him, and to us too, it was kind of a shot in the dark. We kind of looked at some stats, did a little bit of video review, just a very small bit of video review, and it was easy for us to go, yeah, this is the guy. He's been really, really, really solid for our team. And if I didn't throw this in there, Jay Rick would be pissed at me. And we got to throw a shout out to Jay Rick for doing it all.
Yo, I love Jay Rick.
That boy does it all, baby.
He got robbed of a Mem Cup last year. He got called up.
Yeah, that was me.
Yeah.
Then he got called up from there to Chicago right away.
Oh man, he was torqued.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he went from them to us for a week. Maybe I don't even think he played a game for me. And then he went right up to the Blackhawks. Piper called him up. So, it is what it is. He's I'm happy to have him on my team this season, and he's a stud, man, doing it all.
Yeah, he'll be good.
So one of the players I played against last season as the Red Deer Rebels was Tai Chi.
Yeah.
And I was very impressed with his play. And you guys actually outbid me on him. Tell me what you like about him.
Yeah, Tai Chi's a really, really good, solid position player, right? He plays his position very well. His back check is incredible. The dude is always covering for pushing D-men, right? Unfortunately, or fortunately, I came from the forward side, so I'm very aggressive. He is always back to help hold the line there, and so I mean, I don't know. He's a really good player. He's a team player. He's always messaged me on Discord talking about things that had happened and things that he saw that we can improve on. And that's all you can ask, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Back checking center, defensive first. It's kind of hard to find, for the most part. I always catch centers thinking offensive before defense. Kind of always have to put them in check every once in a while. What team do you think has the best chance of knocking you and the CUDA out of the top spot?
In the league or the conference?
I was wondering that too. Conference or league?
Hit me with both.
Okay, so conference. I like the Heat. I do like the Heat a lot. I would say, and even the Wolves too. The Wolves are a real solid squad that came out of the gates a little bit light. I figured that they were going to be up higher in the top spot there. But let's go with the Moose, because I like Nazi and I like what he's putting together there in conference, and then we're going to go with the Thunderbirds in the league, because I would go with the Thunderbirds, because I think they're a solid squad as well.
All right. With your only loss being to the CUDAs, we talked about that earlier, the 8-1 loss. What did you learn about your team in that one-sided game?
Yeah, I happened to take part in that game, unfortunately. But like I said before, I got a message from, I think it was Ducks fan right afterwards, and he was like, man, that game was a lot closer than the score said. And it was. It really was. There's a lot of bounce-ins, a lot of dirty goals, but the bottom line is like I even said before, we have to overcome those and get better. I would say I learned relative resilience for the team, right? Because that was our first loss. We came back and finished out the season strong, right? That day, I think we were 2 for 3, and then we finished out Wednesday with a win. We're learning, right? And it's good to get that first loss out of the way. Also, I feel like it takes a lot of pressure off the team, right? Just to get rid of that first one. So. It was a tough game, right? It was our GM line too. It was everybody that was a GM. It was a tough loss for us, but the team will bounce back, and hopefully a big week for us again.
So you talked about your defenseman that you got for 500K.
Yep.
What else was your strategy in bidding this season?
Yeah, it's funny. A lot of people were telling me that I was ass backwards for thinking this way, but I played forward for so many seasons, and after I played 18 in the beta, I knew my thumbs were not good enough to play against some of these kids, who sit there and play the whole time. So I made the decision to put myself on defense. Did a couple big re-signs in the offseason, right? As far as getting Pooler locked in and getting Death Machine locked in. I think Pooler's an extremely underrated player. If you want me to go back to that, I think he's really underrated. People don't give him what he deserves. But long story short, I put myself on defense so I could spend money on offense, right? I knew very quickly in this game that it was going to be a very forward-dominated game, and we'll see what happens moving forward if I'm correct or not. But I wanted to spend money on solid defensemen, right? Guys that were smart, low dollar amounts, and were positionally, basically perfect, right? They're very good in their position. Um, excuse me. And then spend a lot of money on fast thumb forwards. And that was it, right? That's what we wanted, guys that can put the puck in the net and score.
So at your guys' facility, do you guys have like thumb curls? Is that what we're hearing?
Lots of thumb curls.
Yeah.
Tons of thumb curls. Right, but that's it, man, right? Those fast thumbs. I'm not good. I mean, I'm 37 years old. I'm an old man. Shit. Yeah, my thumbs don't move that fast. Remember, I use a regular Nintendo controller with A and B.
Yeah, they're gonna need Phil Nicholson's gonna, there's I'm probably saying this wrong.
Arthritis?
Arthritis. There's more. You've seen the commercial with Phil Nicholson. I mean,
he's icy hot
the
on
chronic. You know, yeah. I think LG's going towards the wrong demographic. I think they need to get Icy Hot as a sponsor. I think they need to get BioFreeze. Whatever brand of medicine Phil Mickelson's going on about, I think that's the demographic they need to go for all those fast thumbs.
Hey, man, telling you, it's about the fast thumbs. You quote it now.
We need fast thumbs.
Seriously, man, that's it. Fast thumbs. Boys can move them thumbs.
Does that mean you're gonna go after Thunder Thumbs?
Thunder.
He's a good guy, man. That kid.
Anything else we need to know about the Rockford Ice Hawks?
No, man. Like I just said, it's been a nice start to the season. We're not getting ahead of ourselves. It's 1 week, yeah. A lot of really good players in this league. We made a couple moves this week to solidify the D side a bit, and brought in a new center who I was looking at early in bidding, which is nice. We're ready to go, man. Ready to get tonight started.
All right, so that is 6. I'm not sure if he's going to stick around. We'll see. We're actually going to go to Prince of Zeus on the breakdown of the Eastern Atlantic Division. So Zeus, take her away.
All right, so what we got here is a little bit of surprise. First of all, Charlotte Checkers being the new team into the division. Granted, it's a new season, but it was always kind of interesting to see how that was going to play out. They finished up 5-5, splitting their 10 games that they had, one of them being an overtime win. So they're getting pushed a little bit. Goals for, goals against, pretty even. So the Checkers did good when they played, looks like away games, 4-0, but they can't do anything when they're hosting the game, 1-5. So they probably need to get some people with some better internet or something. Might help them out a little bit in the long run. But when we go from top to places 1-4, T-Birds coming up 7-1-1 with 15. Pretty good. Goals for differentials, like 18? Pretty good. Somewhere around there. But their last 2 games they played, they ended up losing both. Now, they lost to the Phantoms. That's kind of acceptable. They're right behind you in the standings. You cannot lose to Wilkes-Barre.
7-6? Holy.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if
I didn't see that.
It was a whooping.
While I was sitting here kind of like just hanging out, I watched the whole game. That was a shootout. All right.
Man.
They were going back and forth. So, I mean, in a sense, it was anybody's game, but those kind of games can't happen if you're going to be holding the number 1 seed in any division, right?
Who were,
So, I mean, if
who
they
were
can
the
shore that
goaltenders
up-
in that game?
the goaltenders for that game were looks like Kepi was in for the T-Birds, and then Dr. Nash was in for the Wilkes-Barre. But I mean,
So their stats just took it.
Toffoli's a good player, right? Toffoli's not an AHL player, in my
Right.
opinion, but he plays dangler. He's not getting punished. He had 7 assists, literally 100% participation in getting every single goal for his team. So right then and there, like if they probably shut him down a little bit better, they more than likely win that game. But our boy Kepler was in that game. Kep, you got anything to say about that? No?
Really?
Kepi?
Quiet?
Oh, all right, fine. He's supposed to be here with us, but he fails miserably. That's okay. But then Lehigh Valley, they came up second place, beating Springfield, giving them one of their losses. They lost the first 3 games of their week, so I was like, okay, typical Lehigh Valley. They're back to their losing ways. That's all they've ever really done since season 1, right? Well, they won the last 6, and pretty good fashion too. Having the lowest goals against in the division, it's pretty good. You don't have to have a good offense if your defense is keeping the puck out of the net. You know, I mean, they're averaging almost less than a little bit more than 2 goals a game against them right now. So we'll see if that can carry on to the next week. If it does, then these guys might be able to take Springfield on for that number 1 spot really easily. However, then you got Hartford, another 6-3, same goals for, 35 on each of those 2 teams. Goals against 23, so just a little bit above 2. They're literally in the same boat. You know, they had pretty much a teeter-totter. They lost to Belleville. They lost to Springfield, kind of acceptable at this point. And the Marlies. Didn't really do a lot of look into the Marlies, but I'll get into that later. But, I mean, they beat Hershey. They beat Providence. They beat the teams they're supposed to beat. So they beat Syracuse. I was kind of surprised by that just because Syracuse has always been known to be a really good team, and this is the first season I've seen them not look good. So if they can shore that up, maybe Syracuse can do something, but it was a good win for Hartford in that sense anyway. And then Charlotte, we already talked about them. But then you got like these 3 teams that are up right here, right? Bridgeport, Providence, and Wilkes-Barre. They're all sitting at 8 points, combining for basically, 4 wins, 5 losses almost. Wilkes-Barre going to overtime the most out of all the teams in their division. They went into overtime 4 times. But, I mean, you've got – where are they at? Bridgeport, they lost to Level Rocket, lost to Hartford, they lost to Lehigh, they lost to Binghamton. That's fine. They lost to Wilkes-Barre. Can't lose to that team. Like, at this point, if you're losing to Wilkes-Barre or the Hershey Bears in this division at this current time, adjustments have to be made, like hands down. There's no excuses at that point. They did beat Hershey, so at least they have that going for them, but they lost to Wilkes-Barre. They cannot allow that to happen if they want to get into the top 4 of the division and get into playoffs eventually down the road. Then you've got, Providence just bleeding goals with no offense. They had the lowest goals for in the division with 18. You're looking at 2 goals a game. Like, come on, guys. You got to be kidding me. I mean, there's a few people on that team that I'm familiar with. Watery Dolphin, he's a better player than that himself. Chris played with him back in season 3. Then you've got JG, Joe Stud, and Who's Duke. Now, so Who's Duke is kind of like my surprise in this situation because I picked him up in season 4. He had a phenomenal year. We were tanking, so I was like, hey, I'm going to trade you to a playoff team so this way you can get some playoffs and, go there, have fun, whatever. But, I mean, like right now, he just got obliterated, 0-3 with a -8. That's not like him at all. I don't know if, like, the game is just not suiting his play style or something like that, or if he's playing too much Fortnite. I don't know. He was never a guy that really
problem
practiced.
in league right now.
Absolutely. There's always some game that will take a player's time away from NHL. Fortnite seems to be that one for this season. Who knows what will come up next? But, I mean, the teams that are winning right now, they don't play Fortnite. That seems to be the constant
Hey, we still play
theme.
Fortnite, baby. We still play Fortnite.
Go ahead.
They're missing the best free game possibly that has been come out for
On console,
PlayStation
yeah, because like
Plus.
PUBG is still
Yeah,
better,
PUBG's better.
but like not a
No,
lot of people that can have have like cross or PCs too. So
Yeah,
for console, it's probably the best free console game, and I can't remember a better free one.
without a doubt.
and
But
the
get
whole
back
game's free in 2018.
Yeah,
to get back on topic though, Wilkes-Barre is coming up. Now they've won 3 games this week. They lost to everybody else, including Hershey, which you can't do. But they beat Rochester and Springfield in that huge shootout that they had. So I mean, this team can win games against good teams. So they need to just not lose against the bad teams. Hershey, Providence, the Senators blew them out of the water 10-1. That's whatever. The Crunch 9-3. That's another whatever. They lost to Utica. We'll talk about that later. But
ugh.
we'll talk about them next. But yeah, no, they did good against good teams. Against average to subpar teams, they're losing bad. So that needs to change. Whether or not they did a lot of trades, we'll talk about that later. Hopefully, they got some good talent in there.
In their wins, how many were Toffoli in?
I think
The Foley won.
he had 2. I think
2. Yeah, he was in 2 of their wins. So that man needs a pay raise. that's basically what we're coming.
That's a GM stepping up. So they pretty much have one line.
And okay,
Is what that's coming down to.
Here's a very interesting part. The game that they beat Rochester in, 3 ECUs.
whoa. That's
So
We just won't talk about that game.
not. I mean, like again, though, that's not terrible. Like when you have a bad, like again, this is my first year of AHL, right? So like, from what I've seen so far is that when you have a bad AHL team, it's almost not it to have a TC when you own a CHL team, right? And you know everyone that you're playing on your CHL team, and you pick up a TC. That means that they probably have never played league before, right?
Right.
But with an AHL squad, if you have a bad AHL squad, it's not terrible to try guys that are at least doing half decent in the CHL because at least they might be better than the guys you're stuck with in the AHL, right? Like it's like a bigger. You don't need to 3 ECUs in one game is way too many to lose to. But I mean, like if you have one guy in the CHL and he's doing half decent, to put him in your lineup in the AHL, I don't think is a big drop off for a lot of teams because
it's not. But the only bad part is that if that player is a prospect, he cannot help you more than 8 times.
Oh, for sure.
You know having been in the CHL back when it was first came out, I was like, yeah, I'll help it along. Sure, why not? It was a nightmare for us in the CHL because prospect players then were not protected.
Yep.
It was a nightmare. Now they are. So the CHL's got extreme foundation. They can grow and they can become better players, et cetera, et cetera.
I could see that being a giant problem.
But it was fucking horrible. I went through 3 full lineups in 4 weeks.
That's terrible.
But
when did they come up with the player protection though? Where you can protect the 3 player, or wasn't it 4 players?
It was
forwards.
The protected roster, I believe, was the very next season. They came up with that.
Yeah, where you could protect 2 forwards, 1 defenseman, and a goalie.
Correct.
And then they got rid of it the next season after.
Pretty much, yeah.
Was that the CHL or the AHL?
That was in the CHL.
That was in the CHL.
Oh, so for the second season,
that was season. That was the season 3.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I can see that causing a lot of problems. And being good and bad.
The players had to accept.
Oh, the players had to?
Yeah, the players had to accept.
They couldn't be denied by their management, kind of thing.
Oh, okay, that's kind of cool.
Right.
That's not a terrible.
So I mean, if Wilkes-Barre can call those 3 dudes up, make a line with Toffoli, hey, that might work out. We'll see. But then to round out the division, despite St. John's IceCap still being in this division somehow, it's the 19th. We're going to ignore that. Hershey finished off the week 3-6, allowing the most goals in the division by 44, I think. Yeah, they allowed the most goals in the league in 1 week.
Yes, sir.
44 beating everybody else. They are the biggest free win at this point, it looks like. or something to pad stats with, either one. They beat
to be
Belleville, Wilkes-Barre, and then
12 of them were in one game.
I had an elite goalie once. He let in 14 goals in 2 games, and I let him go the next day.
Oh, it's a result-driven league.
Bye-bye.
You can't have performances like that, man. That turns heads like really quickly. I almost became the Exorcist that week. But no, I mean, all in all, division rounding out as expected, except for Lehigh being above everybody else practically, and Hershey being non-existent as well as Wilkes-Barre. Those two I kind of expected to somehow be in the middle pack, not the bottom feeding at this point. So, I mean, we'll see what happens week 2. We'll keep an eye on it.
Now we will go to Barkov, formerly of the Belleville Senators. He'll talk about the Eastern North.
Yeah, formerly is very correct. No doubt this has gotten very familiar with this division over the past couple seasons. There's a lot of talent in this division, and I think it's going to be one of those divisions where no position is safe. I mean, Laval sitting in 7th with only 4 points. It's not really a big thing to be talking about right now. Even if the Rochester does have 13 right now, I'm not worried about it. I think every team in this division still trying to settle in and get lines clicking together. So you watch for Laval to even hop back up into that first spot next week. That's how unsure I am about this division. I'll start from top to bottom here. I'll go with Rochester, rounding out the top spot here. Management's definitely done a great job with this team, turning pretty much nothing into something. Looks to be a well-rounded team. Not too much star power or anything like that, but just enough guys to get the job done when they need it done. They've definitely showed dominance in the time on attack category for sure, making teams submit to them easily. Sorry, just close my page there real quick. I'll move on to my former team, the Belleville Senators. Again, a pretty well-rounded team. Some great guys on that roster. I was really surprised with one in particular, and that's Tom switching from goalie to right wing. I wasn't sure where he was going to fit into the roster, but he's made a good spot on that top line with Ages and Le Cupidon. Seeing as they went 2-1 this week, me being in that one game where we lost. They're a very, very predictable line, but they know how you play, and they will adapt to beat you in that way, which is something I haven't seen with many other teams. A lot of teams will just continue to try and run the same play, or they'll just get frustrated and start doing erratic stuff. But this is the only lineup where I've seen that they don't get frustrated when you get a couple goals on them, and they just keep pounding. They got some really good defense. I'll be interested to see who my replacement is this week and who's going to fill that spot.
Hostility.
What's that?
I said I'm sensing some hostility there from you, Bear. Are you kind of upset they let you go so soon?
I didn't really get an explanation as to why I was let go.
Oh, that's the fucking worst.
I knew for sure it had something to do with the top line of Ages and the French Connection there. Didn't really end off on a good note last season after our Game 7 loss to Syracuse. Definitely felt like emotions were not in the best place when it came to game times. Nobody really wanted to practice with each other and stuff like that. And you can't have that in the dressing room when you expect to want to win games in this league. Not trying to throw too much hate on them, though. They do have a very good roster. And I'd say look for them to continue their dominance this week. Keep that second spot, possibly go up to 1. I'll move on to Toronto here. Marlies did okay this week. I was surprised with actually how they did this week. Pretty much a whole new roster for them this season. One guy in particular I look forward to seeing a lot of this season is Tickle My Sakic. He was went 2-1 and 2-1-0 this week.
A1 name.
3 games, 12 points, 6 goals, 6 assists, +5. Pretty much an all-around player. And it wasn't like they were losing games by winning games by like 1 goal here. Like they've been beating some pretty good teams, which I was also surprised of. Got a lot of guys on here. It looks to be just pure domination from their top 2 lines. Look for them to make some moves to get that third line going. I've heard some talk, possibly a 2-for-2 deal going on with another team in the league. I'm not sure if it went through yet, but I'd say look forward to that.
TSN trade right here.
Oh yeah, 2 for
Yeah.
2 trade.
Whoa.
Uh-oh.
All the defensemen?
He's the league.
The rumor mill is a churning. I'll step forward to Binghamton here, or former Belleville.
I think
Again, an entirely new team here.
I think they'll be good this year. They have a lot of guys that were good in the CHL last year. Doesn't necessarily translate, but I know they have thumbs.
Yeah, exactly.
I know
Like,
they have thumbs. Fast thumbs?
Quick thumbs.
Quick thumbs.
Come
Quick
on,
thumb.
Get
Like-
the verbiage right.
I played with Daniel for days today, and he's a really good defenseman. I know Lehkonen from last year, and a couple other guys like Marner and Moose. That for whatever reason they only play with each other, but they're half decent.
Yeah, I mean it's another team here where they're just slotted right in the middle of the pack of the division here. I mean, like week 1, it's going to be tough to tell who's staying and who's going to keep producing for these guys, but I'd say another good team to watch next week. See what they do. They look to be facing a couple of tough teams coming up. It's going to show if they're going to be willing to step up or not. We thought we were going to skip these guys, but quick look in here to see how Utica's doing.
Oh, we're doing all right.
Actually, a good friend of mine, Evil Destiny, is the GM. Had a lot of good memories with that guy, but they don't seem to really have again a lot of star power.
You're gonna find out tonight. That goals game, man. That goals game is gonna be a microcosm for our whole season.
Is that gonna be better have a stream up for that game?
Oh, I'll be streaming. Hopefully, I don't end it quickly. That'll be that's pretty much our first line. So, I mean, goals look to struggled so far, but again, they play in a really hard division. So,
yeah, I mean, like judging by the roster here, it doesn't look like too much is going wrong. Just look for chemistry to start clicking for them. Hopefully, if not, you might start to see some faces getting exchanged.
some guys. That's the thing about AHL trades is that like people.
No sleeves, not trade block.
Yeah.
I'm not going anywhere, man. The thing about the AHL.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Your rights are traded. You know what I mean? So like, guys that have like, there's players in the AHL that know they're in the AHL. Either they've tried to be in the NHL, and unfortunately, you got to think there's only 17 spots and only 31 teams. That isn't a ton of people, the best in the world or the best that play competitive league, right? It's hard to crack that. So you have no idea if the guys are gonna move up and go like into the NHL. So like what people don't think about is when they're traded in the AHL, like your rights are gone to your NHL team, right? Like so if I was traded to another team, I would then have to try and make the NHL roster on another team, right?
Exactly.
So like if I've made relationships with my NHL team, I have no desire to be traded at all. And like I think that's a lot of people forget about is that people that I don't know if I can make it in the NHL. I'm going to find out shortly. right? I haven't really gotten my chance yet, so we're gonna find out. But like that's the thing. So like everyone's asked like, are you gonna ask for trade or things like that? Absolutely not, man. Like your season goes as your season goes, and I don't want to be someone who's traded a lot. I'm one of those guys that wants to be on the same team. So if it goes well, it goes well, and if I have fun trying to get to the playoffs, I get to the playoffs. I think the East is wide open. The East seems extremely wide open.
Yeah, definitely.
The Pacific seems to be where the most of the powerhouse teams are, and then you have the Ice Hogs and whatnot. I still think though we're going to talk about them shortly afterwards with the Admirals as well. Like I think I know a lot of the guys there. They were on my team last year, and they're top heavy at least. But like, yeah, like I think the East is wide open, especially the Eastern North. Like this division is going to be hilariously fun to watch to see who actually makes the playoffs. Because I bet it comes down to the last week.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, exactly.
But
nobody's safe.
Yeah, like when people talk about AHL trades, very few think about like what happens to the guys that have a possibility to go to the NHL. You don't want to be dealt because like I love Carm, the Vancouver guys so far that I've like been around talking to them have been awesome and they are really fun to play with. So like, when it comes to that kind of stuff, like being traded in EA, I have no want to do that. And like a lot of people have asked me about it. I'm like, nah, man, no, absolutely not. And the guys in Utica are fun to play with. You know, the season might be a bit of a struggle until we work together and see if Evil can make some moves. On to Laval.
Hold on here. Have you taken public relations?
No, I just
courses in college?
I'm very good with my words.
Because that seriously sounded like
I'm a realist. I like
a campaign
it's a real. No.
Go to
like
the NHL.
Yeah,
that is it.
Exactly
Vote for Sleeve.
Every time I play, what I've come to like, I didn't know. I don't like. Again, last season was my first year in league entirely, so I had to learn who the CHL guys were. And now I've played enough, and you know, whether it be through my channel or like my presence in the show box and things like that, more and more people know me now, and I play with, you know, the higher end guys. And a lot of people ask me lately, am I going to ask for a trade and things like that? And I have no desire to because I love Vancouver. Like, they're awesome bunch of guys to play with. And league is just fun. Like, I obviously want to win, right? I've won. Yeah, exactly. But I don't want to be dealt.
Yo, whose man's is this?
Trade them.
No.
Send them.
Trade him, yeah.
No.
Send them. See ya.
That's the new campaign.
We'll see
Brought
in
to you
8
by
weeks.
the media team. Trade sleeves.
We'll see in 8 weeks. You know.
We'll see in 8 weeks.
But
Could you stay in there
as
that
of right
long?
now, I don't want to go anywhere.
Okay. Well, it can't be 8 weeks because the trade deadline's before that. So
On
say
to the goals. I'm Bill Belichick. On to the
I say
goals.
max 2 weeks.
all right.
Next 2 weeks. Are we on here?
On to the goals.
No. On to Syracuse. My bad.
Oh, Syracuse.
Syracuse is next.
Yeah, I'd say I wasn't at all impressed with Syracuse this week. From being on the team last season to being traded halfway through the season, just what they were left with, they didn't really try to keep anyone there, and it just looks again like an entire new squad of guys have stepped in. But even that, just with the guys, like I recognize some names on here, and I'm just downright like not impressed with how they did this week. I mean, a lot of their games, I see that they're not even coming close, like 5-2, 3-1, 7-3. Like, defense has got to be consistent, and with these guys, it's not looking to be consistent at all. Trying to see what their two goalies are.
Right now it's Buds and Rancher. They started out with JB and DC Lumpy, and then that was their preseason goalies. Then last week they had Rancher and DC Lumpy, and now they brought in Buds.
Yeah, I know for a fact that so they got rid of Lumpy?
I believe Lumpy's cleared waivers.
Holy jeez.
I mean, at least they didn't lose to Wilkes-Barre.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, definitely. From what I've had a past experience with that guy, he's been pretty solid in the net when it comes to putting up a wall for your team. Maybe This team needs to look to the other end of the ice rather than pointing fingers at the tendy.
There's only two.
Um,
there's only like one kind of goal that's your goalie's fault. I love it when people shit on their goalie not playing good. If a one-timer scored, not your fault, and that's half the goals in this league.
Right. You just pray your goalie can get over in time for those. If he makes one of those saves, great.
That's your D and forwards job. Goalie, it's just animations in this game. You have very little. I used to main a goalie before league. They're just not that and breakaways.
Yeah, and I knew for a fact, like playing with Lumpy in the past, like if he saw the shot and was able to get a good clean read on it, like he was stopping it. So just the fact that they sent him down, wow.
I'm actually curious to see why they sent
What's his contract?
Rampage down. Whose contract?
The guy who sent down. Was it a contract dump?
No, it was only $500K.
No,
and they have 2.25.
Yeah, that's not a contract dump.
They did just bring in Jimbo Slice. They brought in Stash, who was on the Hershey Bears last season. And then they brought in Pat, right D.
Who's that, Pat Ethic?
He was just brought in from Milwaukee.
Pat Ethic, number 1.
MP Shawner. It's not looking like he's having the start as he did last season. With the Blazers.
Shawner.
With Goat Neal.
Oh, I missed season 5.
The Goats are not. Well, I believe isn't Goat Neal down
He's on Edmonton. He's on Edmonton.
He's down in the sea, isn't he?
No, he's on the Oilers.
Yeah,
he's on the Oilers now.
He went from Dallas. I don't know if he made it a game. Now he's on the Oilers.
Wow. So only one goat is in the NHL right now.
I think so. I think Craven plays for the Rangers. There's another Blazer.
So there's 2.
Yep.
So, Syracuse hopefully rises up this week with their trades. So it'll be one of those wait and sees. Who's the next?
I believe it's Laval. 12
goals. Wow.
Yeah. Not what you want to be doing.
I'm gonna bring this point up because I knew we were gonna talk about them, but Montreal had 4 or 5 first-round picks, right? Basically sold off their entire roster last year, right? For the NHL, right?
Correct.
I think this is just a byproduct of having to fix your NHL team. And if your NHL team is bad, then your AHL team is probably bad as well. And if it went as far as to sell all of those pieces, that I think it's going to be a year or two before Montreal has draft picks and whatnot that actually, like, you know what I mean? Like, develop. You need to have a few pieces. And I think because the NHL squad sold off so much that their roster,
they had nothing to build on.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
I think they went in panic mode too, because if you look, they had a lot of trades this weekend. A lot of them.
I mean, I would too if I only scored 12 goals.
Yeah.
Right. So something's got to be fixed. They only have, I think, one of their draft picks.
Yeah, because all the rest are in the
2
NHL.
of their draft.
Gunnass, DJ Unreal, those guys they didn't go to the AHL, right? Like a lot of guys that use their first round picks later on in the draft, like in the first round. Like for me, example, right? Like I was a first round pick, but I'm not playing in the NHL. So like that's a first round pick in the AHL, right? When Montreal used all of their first round pick basically to play in the NHL, that means that the rest of your roster just kind of falls out.
Right. Yeah, because they have Atomic still up there, and they have Pope's skill.
Yeah, I thought Atomic played Montreal. I don't know why he got sent down.
I know Noel's fan I believe he was a draft pick last season.
Might have been, yeah.
So he's back down. Yeah, that's a lot of CHL guys.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's looking very bad for Laval right now.
Yep.
Hey, but Stavio's on waivers.
Stavio is
That's
on
breaking
waivers. Are you
news.
serious?
That's
Are you
breaking
serious?
news. Stavio is on waivers.
So is
Yes.
someone else on that team too.
God, I don't know why he wants
bidding
to.
war.
He always fucking tries to shit talk me. I don't know why. I have no idea why he fucking doesn't like
Didn't
me.
he get traded today?
No. Oh yeah, no. He got traded to Laval.
And
With
then
Oh, yeah, because I thought he was on Binghamton.
yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
Him and I think one other player got traded to Laval, and they both got sent down.
Ha!
Like immediately.
wow.
I was just talking to that guy like less than like an hour ago.
That sucks. Well,
So who's next?
the next division, I believe.
Yeah.
You want me to still take that,
All
Perry?
right, we're gonna. Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, you bastard! All right,
Get
so
him.
I'm back. Got another division for you, boys and girls. Let's see what we got. So we got Rockford. They already spoke with Six earlier about it. 8-1, only loss being to San Jose, which was a painful one, but you're allowed one against that team, really. Good goals against, 30. It's pretty good. It's only 3 a game, so we're a little bit more than 3 a game, but not bad. AHL, you're gonna. I find that AHL's goal threshold is anywhere between 3 goals to 9. It's usually like a night in, night out kind of thing. So I mean, in that average, if you're at the bottom end of 3, then you're doing good. You got something going on there. And then you got the Moose, 6-3, 24 goals against, which is actually kind of surprising that they didn't do as good as Rockford did, considering how they had 6 goals less and only 3 goals less done. You know what I mean? Got Cleveland, though, 6-3 with an overtime win, 19 goals against. They're the division defensive team, it looks like, this season. Having a whole new management team kind of take over from Big Freeze, Siege, and company. You know, Optimus Prime doing a good job with Quick Scope, backing them up there. Those two are get a goalie tandem. They've been around for a while, so they know how to play that game pretty easy. And then you got Chicago. They're 5-3. You know, 25-21, kind of even. And then Milwaukee's up 5-4 with an overtime win, so they're not doing that bad either. But they have more goals for than the Wolves, but they have more goals against. So it's kind of interesting that Chicago is able to hold on to those games. Looks like a little bit better. And then rounding off the rest of the division, you're looking at Grand Rapids, Colorado, both sitting basically 3 wins, 6 losses. You know, one being an overtime loss. You know, you got a consolation prize for going to OT. And then Iowa Wild, big surprise here, 2-6 with an overtime loss. Did not expect that out of this team. They've always been, a team that's touted really strong players and was able to put out a winning lineup night in, night out. I don't recognize any of these people that, we've come to see over the last few seasons from the Wild. It's a completely new lineup, so they got a little bit of work to do to get some chemistry going. I know Servant Spike from a few seasons back had a brief encounter with him, but he can build teams, so look for him to try to make some trades, get a bounce back week next week, see what goes on from there.
Yeah, I'll agree with you.
Yeah, they definitely did make some trades too.
Yeah, for sure. That's one you got to look out for. I know he's at the bottom line division now. We're separated by a bunch of points, but he can make up points quick. He'll put together a team.
Yeah.
And also with the Cleveland Monsters, Quick Scope and them are interim management since Billy O and Outstanding Skilled decided to take their bans
Oh, good
instead
for them.
of they just didn't see eye to eye with Nick, so they decided to take their 2-season bans. And it doesn't look like Cleveland's missed a step since. past that. So
I mean, that's
hats off to them.
the risk you take taking AHL management, right? The NHL team will always come first, no matter what. You know what I mean? So that's kind of the one bad part about the AHL is that we are really just a little cow
Stepping stone.
pasture. We're literally just a farm for them.
You have a very small window.
Yep, very small. But
window.
you know,
It's better than the CHL, but it's very, very small because at least you get a 2-year draft, like a draft pick. You get 2 seasons with. But again, then if he doesn't make the NHL, right? You have to almost get lucky to find non-NHL or bottom lower NHL talent that can't make the NHL on that team. That seems to be how you have to get lucky with that.
it's kind of sad, but true. I mean, I'm at that point personally. I'm a third line NHL player, have been since season 2, season 3. I'm okay with that. I've been a suicide line before. It's a role I've accepted as part of an organization that the team needs me to fulfill. Fine, whatever. When it comes to the AHL, I'm either a first or second line player. I can win games here, no problem. It's whatever. But if you have a SUI line in the AHL, you're either copying your NHL format, which is always best. I lost my train of thought. Not even gonna lie.
Well, I went and
I straight up lost my train of thought.
Like, I don't know how the Barracuda's been built like this because like they have a few returning guys. I'm like, how that to not make San Jose, and they would make a ton of teams had they not been on this roster. You know what I mean?
That is a combination of multi-year contracts, AHL management coming together, realizing, hey, we can join forces real quick, pick up this guy and this guy as re-signs. Wham, you have 2 full lines ready to go for day one that have already played together since like season 3 and 4.
Yep.
You know what I mean? So like they're already just going to be leaps and bounds above everybody. And it shows 56 goals for, highest in the league, if I'm corrected. Yeah. Yeah, 13 higher than everybody else.
They only have 17 goals against.
Yep, that is lowest for the league. So it's like they're scoring the most, they're getting scored on the least. They have 2 lines that have been together for 3 seasons now. It's a full game, essentially. And building a third line for them is going to be easy. Sticks, I mean, you're probably going to be doing that here shortly if you're going to keep up your winning ways in the same fashion. So, I mean, you got that going for you. The Moose, since we talked about the Ice Hogs, I'm not going to highlight this 8-1 loss to San Jose again, as painful as it is. But Manitoba, they lost to Rockford, expected. Wolves, I feel like if you're the Moose, you should be beating the Wolves night in, night out, to be honest. But then when you lose to Milwaukee, they're directly below. They're way below you. They're not even in the top 5. But this division looks to be a lot closer than people give it credit for. Because, I mean, from positions 1 to 5, there's 6 points, 3 wins, 3 games. It's all it's going to take to go from 1st to 5th seed.
I mean, second to 6 is only 5.
Yeah. It's 1 game for the Moose. If they lose 1 and Milwaukee wins 1 and the rest are stagnant, well, all of a sudden Milwaukee's in 2nd.
Mm-hmm.
Going past them, though, Cleveland, they lost to the Moose. All right, I can run with that. You lose to Tucson, though. Now, we haven't reached Tucson yet. They're in the Pacific. They're 5-2-1 or 5-2-2. They got a little consolation prizes, but I mean, they're still a good team. But getting shut out by them, I don't feel like anybody should really get shut out. But I mean, they got shut out twice. Once against Tucson, the other time against Rockford, who had a phenomenal week anyway. So it just seems like the Monsters need to find a lot more scoring because, I mean, they're the 3rd least. They had 23 goals. Only 2 teams worse than them were Colorado and Iowa, and they're at the bottom. So if they want to stay in that 3rd spot, they're going to need to score a lot more goals. I mean, yeah, granted, you're only giving up 19, which is leaps and bounds lower than everybody else. You want to be able to score some more goals than that, or else you're not going to last very long. Going past them, we got Chicago. Familiar face. Lost to San Jose 2-1. That's impressive. For a team like San Jose to hold them to 2 goals, I'll applaud you on that. That's good. I lost to Milwaukee, another 2-1. They lost to the goals, 3-2. You can't lose to them. That's another trend. You can't lose to the bottom seeds, man. You can't lose to San Diego, and you can't lose to Iowa, which is your other loss. Like, come on. What is this? These are 2 teams you can't lose to. Who played in these games? Selkie Smooth, good old Greek freak himself, and Bobby Goggles were in both of those games. Huh.
It's a trend.
Interesting. With Goodberger and Bobetta on defense both games. I don't know, boys. Might see Chicago Wolves management get under question here in a bit.
You're not saying something, but you're saying something.
I'm shouting something. You can't be losing to a team like that if you're the management. Sorry, dude. You're better than that. You got Moose. Everyone knows Moose. All he does is scream his name. Says full sentences. Makes no sense.
Okay.
Got Milwaukee past that. Losing to the Heat. It's not the same Heat as, seasons past, but it's still the Heat. They're a good team. Losing to the Griffins. They're 1 spot below you, so, I mean, you can take that loss with a grain of salt. It's just can't get cocky against teams like that. You lost to Rockford. Meh. That's okay. They did good. And then you lost to Texas. Almost said they lost to themselves. Which, against Texas going 3-3-3, yeah, you might have lost to yourself on that one. Team that can barely go above 500 in overtime. Like, come on. But, okay, Fire Eyes was on the lineup for the Texas Stars, so he's a good guy, good player. Played with him a while back. But, I mean, Wolf was in that game, and they lost to Texas. So, I don't know. What's your guys' opinions on Wolf? He was a pretty good CHL player from what I hear.
Technically, the best ever in the CHL.
Ooh.
He
J-Class 2.0.
He did break the CHL right. He's really good. I think that he needs a really good partner with him to become, you know what I mean, to be extremely well. He played with Gunnass all last year, right?
Oh, okay.
Those two were both.
Yeah, but we're also talking about the CHL here, though, too.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's completely different, right? Like, but I mean, like he's probably one of the better AHL players.
Okay.
Correct.
But in the AHL,
He is
like
one of the best AHL.
The problem is though, is that in the CHL, if you're one of the best in the CHL, there's guys that probably shouldn't even they play league because it's fun, but not because they're talented enough to play it. Right? Like, you know what I mean? They play it for fun. In the AHL, you've played enough to hit vet or amateur or veteran or get bid on or anything like that. Everyone has an understanding of how to play. So one player can't really just come in and shred like you could in the CHL. In the AHL, you kind of need a line or at least one other person on a line to have dominance. You know what I mean?
Can confirm.
He played with last season though. Gunnass.
Yeah, like he was on Valdor with me.
I mean, that's.
I mean, he played our first line was Gunnass, Twiggle, who went 1 and 2, and then Wolf.
Yeah, see that.
So like that.
And you wonder why they won the Memorial Cup.
Yeah, exactly. So like it's. But in the AHL,
It wasn't because of no sleeves.
No, it wasn't because of me. I just did my job. That was it. I just did my job and rode it all the way into a first-round pick.
Yeah.
That was it.
How fast can I get you the puck?
Yeah. That's exactly, yeah, in my games with Gunnass, they went a lot like, get me the puck, and I would just R2 the second I got it.
I'm starting
Nothing
to
wrong with that.
Offensive mindset these days, right? Coming off
Yeah.
right wing going to D, it's a different world. It's how quick can I get into a playmaker's stick.
Exactly. But no, in the AHL, though, you have teams where, like, if the forwards break out before the D-men, like, have the puck, and they're not in the zone, the AHL, you just get roasted, things like that, because the forecheck in the AHL, everyone has a simple concept of how to play the game. It's not completely foreign, so you can't just have one guy wreck because you could just get double teamed. And if your other guys aren't offensively creative to help him out, you're not gonna be able to dominate. You'll still put up your points, but you need some help because you could just get two on one and things like that.
There is controversy around the Texas Stars
Isn't that
because Fire Eyes is a randomly assigned veteran.
I saw that.
Oh, I heard about that.
I saw
So-
that today.
So technically, he cannot be called up to their roster.
Wow.
I don't know what the Bugs are doing about it or where it's at. That's between the league and D. Graves.
He's an RAV, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Huh.
That'll be interesting.
So he was in.
He was a late sign up. That's all it is.
Yeah, but see, that's the thing. That's what they're trying to, you can't avoid that. A V going RA, a veteran randomly assigned cannot be a roster player.
For AHL.
Correct.
Well,
Can he be NHL though?
no, you can't have a randomly assigned veteran in the NHL.
No, you can't.
However, though,
Right,
like
and he can't be in the
he
AHL
wasn't
either, so he's
randomly
stuck in the
assigned
C.
either. He was one in the C. He has a $5 million contract in the CHL, so that had to be paid up when he got called up.
Maybe it's just
The system glitches all the time.
yeah.
I don't find it true that he's randomly assigned, even though the system may look like it is. Because if actually no, never mind. I see where it's going. Yeah, we'll see. I mean, because I'm pretty sure RAVs aren't even supposed to be on an AHL roster.
Correct.
They're-
That's what I was saying. Yeah.
Yeah.
McDonald just sent that thing out. Let's see if I can find it.
But so that's gonna bring up thing for me.
What
Is
is that?
how's they gotta change something with it, because to be honest, none of the AHL guys had a chance to get them, or any of the veterans that sign up in the middle of CHL bidding.
True.
Hey, kind of that.
So
Some people want to have an easy season. That's what that turned out to be.
but really did it? Because he's right back up to the AHL.
On a $5 million contract. I had that shit last season. It sucks. You're so limited in what you can do.
I have $2 million in the NHL, and it is limited.
Yeah. Most NHL teams only have like $750K on cap space. It's ridiculous.
Yep, that's why I'm down here.
Give it time. You'll be up there. Let's finish out this division.
Yeah,
now. I still got 3 more teams. Grand Rapid 3-5. Pretty even on goals for and goals against. Losing to Texas. Can't lose to the Wild. You can't do that. That's not good. But they lost to the Heat. That's acceptable. Lost to Rockford. That's acceptable. And you lost to Chicago. They're a better team than you, so in a sense, that's acceptable as well. So just eliminate that Wild loss. You'll be good to go. Moving past them, we got Colorado, Avalanche, new farm team. Losing to the Wolves, Condors. They beat the Heat in a shutout, 1-0. So they have the ability to play the Biggies and win, at least for the AHL anyway. But for whatever reason, they lose to the likes of San Jose. Oh, okay, that makes sense. Cleveland makes sense. Manitoba makes sense. Okay, so they're losing the teams that they're supposed to lose to, but they're definitely stealing some wins. So even though they have a 3-6 record, these guys could break through if they just kind of stick to it and don't lose sight of anything. Counterattack, formerly Beefy. He's the guy kind of running this. He sent down K-Holes. who was my left winger just this past week. He's good. He's a real good kid, so he's going to make that team a lot better very quickly. And they just picked up Bobcats too. Oof. All right. Yeah. Don't sleep on Colorado. They're gonna turn a lot of heads real quickly, to be completely honest. Then you got the team rounding out the rest of the division, which is going to be Iowa. They lost to damn near everybody except for beating, Grand Rapids and Chicago, which we covered earlier. Those teams shouldn't have any business beating, but they went ahead and did, especially with the line that they have. They got to get a lot of chemistry going forward. They're just going to get walked on for the rest of the season. But next week they're going against the Bears in Wilkes-Barre, so that's 2 wins for you guys as long as you don't suck ass. It's pretty much guaranteed at that point. And that pretty much rounds out that division. So head on over to Western Pacific.
You want to do that one too? You're going to know them more than me. You want to do that one too?
Fuck no! I'm just not getting over the flu, bro. I'm trying to survive for you.
Your voice sounds so good. It's so
I'm not T-Sips, please. That is the man of the voice. Rest in peace, T-Sips.
All right, well, we can do it quickly. So obviously this seems to be the division to watch. It is going to be the hardest to contest for those 4 spots, I feel. But how the playoffs are set up, I don't think it really matters because they're just going to kind of beat up on themselves for a little while. But anyways, so Barracuda, obviously 8-1 with a just disgusting goal differential. We can move on. Stockton, they went 7-2, but their goal differential wasn't all that crazy. They only had 6 more goals, and so they're winning 1-goal games, and also 1-2 in overtime. Tucson went 5-2-1, 5-2-2, with a lot of overtime involved in that. So that could be a bit of a mirage again, but it's going to be all different because they don't have to play each other consistently. It's going to be whoever can beat the guys outside of the Pacific, I feel, is going to take the 3rd and 4th spot. But then we have Texas, who went 3-3-1. 3-3-3 with a negative 12 goal differential. I was looking at their time on attack. It's one of the worst in the division. So that might be a team that could fall this coming week. But again, that could be just a byproduct of playing the Barracuda in the heat, right? So then you have the Reign, who went 3-4-2 with a negative 5 goal differential. So with 2 overtime losses, again, when you look at the overtime losses, those are more than likely going to be losses as opposed to wins when you have a negative goal differential team. So they've got to see if they can keep pace, essentially. The good thing is, though, I mean those bottom, like I said, so those bottom, the 3rd and 4th seed, or at least the 4th and the 7th, only separated by 2 points. So like that last spot, I mean, they'll have to go up against the Barracuda more than likely, but could be tough. You have the Rampage, finished 3-5-1 with a positive 6 goal differential. So they more than likely beat up on one team. I can't see. Let's take a look here. Who did they play? Yeah, that's 7-0 against the Condors would do it. So then you have the Condors, who went 3-5-1 with a negative 20 goal differential. How they won 3 games, hats off to them. Let's take a look. Who did they beat? They beat the Roadrunners, as well as excuse me, as well as the Eagles. So again, those are 2 teams that or at least the Eagles are the ones that you want to beat. And then they beat the Reign 3-2 in the first game of the season. So that's kind of impressive. But then all their other games, their losses are losses, but their wins are 1-goal wins. So I don't know how well that is going to go with that differential. That's going to need to be, that defense needs to be addressed. And then you have the Gulls, who seem to be the team that the top teams are either feasting on, with a negative 25 goal differential. They also have the worst time on attack differential in the league, at 2-7-1. Looks like they're going to struggle. But this next week, like I said, if everyone says that the East is going to be the lesser of the 2 conferences, there's obviously teams in the East that will contend and be good teams. There just seems to be fewer of them than in the West. It's these weeks where the West plays the East. Those are going to be the ones where those teams need to take advantage. If you have a team beat the Barracuda or the Heat, you need to take advantage of that and make up your wins there. because that last playoff spot, those last two playoff spots in the Pacific, you're going to have that's when you've got to take advantage of those points. If you're going to lose to the Barracuda a lot, as well as the Heat and the Ice Hogs, then you need to make it up somewhere. And, these weeks where you play the East is when you're going to have to do it. So, yeah, anything you guys want to talk about in regards to that? That was kind of a fast rundown, but.
No, it works. The Pacific, though, interesting note, though San Jose are the only team to not go to overtime.
You're going to see that a lot. Like, a lot of their games aren't going to be close,
No, absolutely. But the rest of the division is actually kind of surprising.
No, yeah, for sure.
Every single one of those teams went to overtime. Only 2 teams didn't go more than once.
I mean, what I did last year when I was new to the site, I would literally just look, when I was bored at work, I would just look at team stats and time on attack differential, because it's an easy way to tell consistently who is, at least controlling the play, kind of like analytics, I guess. And the ones that are the teams that started out terrible or had a really bad start. My apologies, I read it wrong. I forgot. The Gulls are actually 13th in the league in time on attack. But so that means the teams that they play a lot, like the Barracuda are 3rd, Ice Hogs are 1 by 5 minutes already, which is a pretty big jump. But the Condors are last, and the Eagles are right behind them, and the Wild and the Laval. So like those are the ones you expect. But when you look like the Roadrunners, they're 18th. So they're in the bottom part of the league, and you see those overtime wins, and like those won't stay consistent. Overtime wins just don't. I mean, every year in every sport, you kind of see a team that takes advantage of, like the Leafs last year had like 17 in the NHL. So you see see a team or so that can take advantage of that, but you can't count on them by any stretch of the imagination. And you have the Rampage. Also, they're positive, and the Heat are actually 15th in time on attack. Now, it only takes one game to shatter this. And when you play the Barracuda, who have a plus 24 minutes, if you have like a minus 7 minutes, that can really damage it. But you see some surprising teams with that lead in time on attack. Like the Moose are up there at 21. The Griffins are up there at 1850. They're 5th in the league in time on attack. So it's just something that and Wilkes-Barre is actually at positive 557. So I mean, they're just not taking advantage of their offensive zone time. Being 12th in the league in time on attack, but just not scoring is, I'd say that.
Yeah, but how many?
Go ahead.
How many of those teams are top in shots?
Top in shots? I mean, I've always thought about that when playing NHL as a whole, like in Versus and in Hut, that shots in this game are less important because, especially in EA Sports Hockey League, I find that less goals go in that are terrible just because of shots. You know what I mean? Like in Hut and whatnot with a computer goalie, I find that you can just take a slap shot from the far coming off the rush, and you can glitch it to go in, or if you aim it correctly. I found in EA Sports when you're playing club that just from playing goalie myself, that those kind of, if it's a shot that's clean, it very rarely goes in. But I mean, it is something to look at. But I find that it's more quality in club than quantity, whereas in Hut and Versus it could be the opposite. Where if you pump 30 shots on a CPU goalie, you're more than likely going to win if you get that opportunity. But yeah, like I mean, it's like I said,
what I'm stating is,
go ahead.
Is if they have all that time of attack, if they're not shooting the puck, they're not scoring.
No, for sure. They're obviously not setting it up because they have negative 18 goals, right? And negative 18 goals will spare specifically, and they're getting their chances. So I mean, you just need to find finishers. I think that, and maybe that's something they address via trades and whatnot. But it's just like I said, it's just something that I look for to see, to kind of gauge a team when you don't know the roster. I mean, we can't know every single roster and whatnot in depth of it, mostly than just our own, right? But just by that stat, you kind of get a read on how well it's doing compared to the rest of the league. Because again, like Utica, we won't lead in time on attack specifically, but we have like Bardowski specifically. He's a very good. I think he's a fringe NHL player. I think he belongs in the NHL and maybe a third line, maybe second line, in the future. But you need a guy like that can finish, right? And you might not. Time on attack doesn't necessarily tell the whole tale, because if you're just getting them to cycle around the outside, then it won't really matter. But at least if you have, it's an easy way to tell if you're at least generating play, kind of like real analytics in NHL, right?
Right.
So there's the Pacific. I think we hit it all.
One
We have
thing I
games
did want
soon,
to add.
boys.
One thing I did want to add though is the San Jose Sharks are third in their division, so it doesn't look like they are possibly going to call up a bunch of their guys from the AHL.
We can only hope.
You know, we can only hope. So that's one thing to also look at is those guys might be around together for a while.
Oh no, yeah, I think that they are going to be the powers, and that happens every year, right? But playoffs happen. That's why we play the game. Just got to make the show. That's it. Then you can shock the world or the LG world.
All right, now back to Mr. Flu
No,
with trades of the AHL.
Man.
Back to the flu.
All right,
Slicky. Good old
we're done
Slicky.
here.
We're done.
Got a bunch of trades for the most part. You know, being AHL, you're going to have a majority of them being TC trades. So a lot of these you can kind of look over and just say, yeah, okay. However, you got a few in here that are actually roster moves. Lavelle Rockets bringing in Turthquake and Shagged, they have to now send down Stavio and Assault Sniper. That is a trade that maybe that can get that team a solid D pair. Possibly if they did good in San Antonio. I didn't check, to be completely honest. And that is what I've got from them. A bunch of trades happened due to NHL trades as well. Going to Lehigh Valley, Avalanche City is going from Colorado Eagles to Lehigh. So it could potentially be a bolster for them. Whether or not it's going to be he's going to stay in the TC roster for them or crack it is completely up to their management. But then you got a couple of interesting trades that I find. One of them being our good old Barakov getting dismissed somehow from his team. Forgot where'd you land again, Barakov? Bear?
I want to say Hartford.
Hello.
Yeah, Hartford.
Hartford. Yep.
Hartford.
Yeah.
So that's we'll call it an upgrade because we don't know how you're going to do yet. But we'll look forward to it. You know, DC Lumpy actually just got traded to the Bellevue Senators.
Yep.
So that's going to be an interesting one, to be completely honest, whether or not they utilize him in a correct fashion. You don't know me getting traded for Plus Size Pounder, which is good old Haji, as he doesn't like to be known as. But that is his.
I'm pretty sure it was. I think my replacement is Suma.
Suma?
Yeah,
Suma.
Suma WTF.
Yep.
That's the luck, kid.
He was on Quebec last season, I believe.
Probably I don't remember. Oh,
And he was a draft pick.
Oh, even better. So he's got trade value as far as contract is concerned, but whether or not he can fill those shoes, they're big shoes. Barakov's got a size like, what, 14? But no, Noisetmon going to the Marlies for Pure Snipes. So I'd say that's an even trade. I don't really see either side like dominating that trade as like a win for one team or the other, just because we don't know how they're going to do in their new spots, whether or not they've already been playing with the players, et cetera, things of that nature. Cholesterol Bomb for Spixter going from Texas to Wild. I feel sorry for Cholesterol Bomb. He's going to like basically a bottom feeding team, and Spixter gets out. So that's a win for personally Spixter, not necessarily either team, because I believe that's still like a like for like trade. And then it's nothing but TC trades, 3-4, 3-4, 3-4 players going back and forth. Let's see, this was done on the 17th, so technically this is a new trade going from, where is it at? JJ Loops going to the Gulls. Now, whether or not he ends up getting called up, possibly might have happened already. Let's check the Gulls. Why do I have a notification? Did I get unconfirmed for a game? JJ Loops, goals. Goals. Someone else got the flu, not it.
Sick guy. Blame it on the sick guy.
Nope, not it. So yeah, JJ Loops is still sitting down on the TC, but he's definitely more than capable of taking any of those roster spots on the goals, especially since they're pretty abysmal as of right now. But I don't expect Deer Hunter or Trash Clown to keep that team in that kind of a situation for very much longer. I'd say I'd give them another week or two. If things don't turn around, look for that entire roster to change over from just TCs alone. But I mean, aside from that, that pretty much covers all notable trades, aside from anything past, this past Sunday, which I'm not going to go 3 weeks into trades. That's just ridiculous.
Yeah. No, for sure.
Well, voice can't handle it.
No, not this week.
Look, breaking
Not
news.
this week.
I think I'm getting 2 AHL games tonight.
Woo! Are you playing against me?
I'm playing against Boston and Ottawa, I think.
That's not me. You're fine.
And then I have an AHL game, I think, still. I have no idea.
I'm playing against Capitals here in about an hour.
Yeah, I got Barracudas. And
Woo, you're going to lose.
All right. Well,
let's take bets.
We're going in there with our heads up. Let's just put it that way.
Let's take bets. How many goals do you get scored on them?
shit.
Over or under 5?
Hey, on us in
Who's
net.
the lineup?
So
Oh my God! Yeah, you're getting that first line.
I'm going over 20.
Yeah.
They're going to score 25.
You're getting that first line dicking. All right. Well, put up a good fight. You don't know, right? That's why they play the games and all that stuff.
Say that to the 8 teams that lost.
Yeah. I'm sure they tried.
I mean, we got Hank in. We have Rampage in.
Mm-hmm.
And Customs 3. So, I mean, there's
Shock the
offense
world,
there.
bud. Shock the
Shock the
world. That's all I keep typing in my Discord chat for Utica. I'm to shock the world.
As he goes up to Vancouver. See you later!
As I go play my 2 Vancouver games tonight. For all the kids that are in the AHL that are trying to blank the NHL, there's nothing sweatier than trying to fucking play for your NHL squad when you're already playing against good guys and you have to be like, I have to play well enough to stay.
Well,
don't grip the controller too tightly, dude.
That's why we play the games, bud. That's why we play the games.
Springfield plays Milwaukee tonight. And they play the Griffins.
What else we got?
Here's the game of the night, my friends. Game of the night: Bears versus Wild.
No, dude, Laval and the Condors.
No,
that could be one.
That's a good one.
But you do have the Ice Hogs going up against Hershey.
Yeah, I was about to say, like, yeah, the Wolfpack, New Hartford, you mean? That could be a good game.
Yeah, I'm excited for the game. I'm excited to get that one going, man. Let's get going. Can we turn the time faster?
He's excited for that Hershey game. He wants to be in that stats game.
I actually am not playing that stats game. If you notice, I did not do that to myself.
And then
Milwaukee versus the Thunderbirds is going to be pretty good, I think.
Yeah, I think that's going to be. But you got Providence and the Wolves too. That one should be close too.
It should be a good week, boys.
But then you got Cuda versus the Crunch.
Oh my goodness.
We will be holding a funeral.
Dude,
tomorrow.
we get
shock the
Cuda
world
tomorrow. Yeah, right? Shock the world. Utica gets Cuda tomorrow. You watch. I'm not in that game, but you watch.
Yeah, see, yeah.
I'm not in that game, but you watch Utica shock the world. Hey, we'll show up.
Yeah. We'll show up.
You'll show up already.
That's the best.
Here's the thing. Here's the part about I love being on Utica. They're all good dudes. And every single win, everyone is like, yes. Like, just happy as can be. As we shocked.
It wasn't like that on Valdor?
I don't remember losing. I think I went 26-1. I don't know what it was like to lose. I know that the one loss we did take in the playoffs, our entire Discord blew up, and it wasn't good. That's the problem with so many ego winners. That's the problem. You got to find good guys, and that's what Utica is full of.
No sleeves is a good.
So
Yep, I try to be.
So
bud.
from Sleeves, Barakov, Prince of Zeus, Six, thanks for joining us. We will be coming again next Sunday. We'll have the breakdown of what happened over the week. How good Kuda's probably still going to be. And
Utica beat
see
Kuda.
if...
We're talking about it, bud.
So subscribe to our YouTube page. Take a look at Dingletown Snipers. Write up some power rankings. And we will see you guys next week.
See you, buddy.
Thanks for
Thanks.
watching.
See you guys.
Appreciate it.